What I think is actually really important if you can is this. Let's say you have access to a towel, some dumbbells, and maybe even some bands, because you can get some bands pretty cheaply online. For back movements, you could do that. It'd be bloody fantastic. And you may not even need the towel for this. Straight off the back, Pamela is apparently going to give us a 15-minute back attack, back-only workout, 100% strength, interesting, 0% cardio, equipment, weights, and towel. I'm covering this for a reason, and it's something that might actually apply and hopefully even help many of you. But before we do so, we could talk about a few things. Firstly, hopefully you liked the vlog in the last video. I quite enjoyed it, and they're going to become a bit more of a regular thing, maybe twice a month for the time being, and maybe once a week in the new year. Other than that, tfnl clothing, you know it's there. It's linked down below in the description and also in the comment section. In addition to that, if you like anything I say throughout the entire video, even just tolerate something I've said, I would very much appreciate it if you did subscribe to the channel, because quite frankly, I need some validation. Movements like this, because there isn't actually any real resistance occurring here, is probably going to be more of like a mobility movement, something I'd incorporate for like a warm-up. The back muscles are definitely not doing anything here. So the thing is, you have to consider where the resistance is going. She is pulling her arms down against no resistance. The only resistance that might occur is separating the towel, or at least trying to separate the towel, which is actually going to have, especially in that angle, probably a bit more emphasis on the old delts here. Sure, there is an argument that if you were to come the whole way round and down, it would be a bit more applicable to like some lat dominant movements, but this, and you're just pulling, sure, you may feel something in your back, but just because you feel it doesn't mean it's work yet. The reason why I wanted to talk about this video was because of the towel. A lot of people who are limited to equipment do have issues with training the back, and actually incorporating a towel into your workout is something that you can do. Part of the home workout guide I released with Ryder actually implements some towel-based movements to help target your back muscles, like towel-based rows for the upper back or the lats, things like that. Let's say this towel weighed 100 kilos. This still wouldn't work your back. This would be a shoulder press variation. Only way this would actually be applicable to back training, sufficiently we'll say, is if the resistance was being pulled down. Let's think you've got to pull the resistance down rather than pressing it up. So although the movement pattern is kind of there, without resistance going against gravity, not towards it, it's actually kind of useless. This I actually do back. Fantastic. If you were to step your working side leg, so this left leg here, further back, gives you a bit more stability, gives you a bit more of a planted stance, and actually better allows you to row that elbow to the hip. But what we don't is, we don't want the upper arm to come beyond the body, because your lats are at that peak contraction, which is kind of like they're doing their job once they are in line with the body. Anything beyond that point means your lats aren't necessarily doing more. Other muscles of the back are probably getting involved instead. The movement itself is actually fantastic, and if you are at home using dumbbells, probably one of the better lat bias movements you can actually include. So I fully respect that. That's a fantastic one. The thing I will note here is she's actually gone straight into the other side. A couple of things I want to address. Kind of common sense. Start with your weaker side. If you aren't worried about imbalances or don't have any massive imbalances, especially physically, as in like visually, then I would rest between sides. Do your left side, let's say, rest a little bit, then do your right side. You do not want the byproduct of the first side to impact your second side. I actually spoke about this in the vlog. If you do have an imbalance, do your weaker side first, then go straight into your stronger side, no rest. Because again, your weaker side is going in fresher, may get the more bang for its buck. The second side is going in with a bit of fatigue, may get a little less bang for its buck, and over time, it may even out. And if you made it this far, I'm going to throw in a little treat. For all orders from today onwards, if you buy a TFNL t-shirt, you get a free workout guide, be that growth guide, nutrition guide, home workout guide, whatever it may be. If you buy a t-shirt from today onwards, drop me an email with proof of purchase and tell me which guide you want, and you can have it absolutely free. Just as a thank you for supporting me and supporting the channel through the t-shirts. This isn't actually a back movement, it's a shoulder movement, as we are kind of seeing, so I'm not sure why it's labeled as a back-only workout, as this is not a back-only workout now, this is a back and shoulder workout. But when it comes to pressing variations or body weight, shoulder pressing variations, this is probably one of your better bets. It just doesn't have a place in a back workout. It's not really a back movement. When we think about the back, we predominantly do think about things like the traps, the rear delts, which I know are part of the shoulders, but they're not heavily used in pressing variations, so don't come for me there. The lats, the rhomboids, and we're not thinking too much about the core, because yes, technically this does bring in an aspect of the lower back muscles, so the erector muscles. Yeah, no, actually, in fairness, the only issue you ever have with things like this is your lower back will fatigue, but there's nothing you can do about that, really. The fact she's changed her arm angle is actually really good here, because obviously we had a narrow grip rowing motion, which was very lat dominant. Now she's going out to the side, and we're getting a lot more retraction, where we actually kind of want to pull that dumbbell a bit higher, a bit further back and retract the shoulders as much as possible, a lot more of the mid to upper back. Then we shift the grip back to neutral, back into a lat bias row again. Changing your arm angle is really key when we're looking at back training. Arm close to the body is going to be very lat dominant. 45 degrees, like so. Bit more rear delts, maybe a bit of mid back. For 90 degrees, maybe 60 degrees, a lot more upper back. Sure, the lats are still going to be involved and the other muscles still be involved, but it's primarily focusing on different areas. So changing your arm angle when doing different rowing patterns is probably one of the best things you can do for at-home back workouts, which I really appreciate and respect here. The link down below, you know you've got a few things. You've got the link to apply to work myself on a one-to-one coaching basis, where I can help coach you towards your goals, whatever they may be, wherever you may be in the world, and wherever you may be training, be that at home or at the gym. You've also got the link to the TFNL group coaching, which for less than $1 a day, you get a program designed by me for either at home or gym workouts. You also have a message board you can communicate to me through. You've also got the TFNL workout guides, which not only tell you what to do and show you how to do it, they also tell you why you'll do it too. And as always, you know you've also got the limited edition TFNL clothing, and all of those things can be found in the description if you fancy tickling your pickle. I mean, technically, yeah, rowing into a deadlift variation is cool because again, that deadlift variation is going to bring in the erector muscles again. The issue is you will deadlift a lot more than you can row. So if your back does fatigue from this, it's probably going to be from the rowing variation, and the lower back is actually probably not going to get as much of a stimulus as you would like, or definitely not a stimulus that's even going to be comparable to the muscles that will get the stimulus from the rowing. Tricep push-up, I'm going to throw it in there, is also not a back movement. Thing is, it's like saying I'm really hot, I'm cold. When you're pushing, you're working here. When you're pulling, you're working back there. You can't push and work opposing muscles in such a manner. It's like saying I'm so hot it's freezing. It's contradictory. Push-ups, not going to be part of the back. You're thinking about the delts, especially anterior delts, so front of the delts. You think about the triceps, you think about the chest. That's kind of most of the workout, but what I think is actually really important if you can, is this. Let's say you have access to a towel, some dumbbells, and maybe even some bands, because you can get some bands pretty cheaply online. 4 back movements you could do, that'd be bloody fantastic, and you may not even need the towel for this. You've got a neutral grip rowing variation, as we saw Pamela do, fantastic. You've got a banded lat pull down, you can stick over the door to lock it in place, do a wind grip lat pull down, great for the lats as well. You've now worked the lats through 2 planes of motion, sagittal and frontal. That's fantastic, your lats are done, bloody marvelous. You then think about a 45 degree banded reverse fly. You're now working the rear delts really well, you're working that back at that 45 degree angle as well, so the mid back's going to come into it too. Then you do a bent over wide grip dumbbell row, as we saw Pamela do earlier, where you're really flaring the elbows up high and retracting the shoulders as much as possible. You've now got a lot of the upper back and the traps coming into it as well. Those 4 exercises alone, fantastic movements you can do at home with just literally some dumbbells and a set of bands you can buy online really cheap. You want to throw in something with the towel as well. Lean over, hold the towel, and basically try and row the towel like you're doing a dumbbell row as hard as you can, and you're then essentially doing an iso hold variation. Maybe not as good for building muscle as the other movements might be due to the lack of range of motion. You're still going to get some stimulus from it, and actually it might be quite fun and a bit different. Then if you really want to and you're bored, chuck in a few dumbbell curls there as well. You basically do my pull day workout just at home, and that's a really good workout in my opinion that targets all the muscles of like the mid to upper back, including the lats. You're going to get some lower back stimulus there from the bent over rowing variations, and you're also going to get biceps involved as well. That's 10 out of 10, and all you need is some bands on this. So sure, don't get me wrong, Pamela has definitely included some really good variations. I'm a bit disappointed with her use of the towel. I think you're going to be better incorporated using it for things like iso holds, and I'm a bit incorporated with the somewhat misleading title where she's saying it's one thing, but she actively includes movements that don't target what she's saying it does. I get it, she's trying to fill the workout, that's cool, that's fair enough, but when you are educating your audience, just make sure this is explained somewhere, maybe in the description, so you can actually better educate people and help them learn what to do. But just like all my videos, these are simply my opinions, and I'd love to hear yours in the comment section below. But until the next one, thank you for tolerating me. Thank you for tolerating me debunking a bit of Pamela's misleading bits and bobs there, and thank you for tolerating the video.